Am I the asshole for not letting my roommate's new girlfriend in my home? Throwaway account because I know both parties have read it. I, 23M. Live with my roommate, 21M. And we get along great, hardly ever an argument. About a year ago, I broke up with my ex, 20F, because I had finally caught her cheating on me. We had a year-long relationship, full of emotional and mental abuse from her. It took a lot of courage to finally accept she isn't the one, and to break off all communication. I really loved her, but I have finally let her go and moved on. My roommate was a huge help in supporting me to get over her. About a month ago it came to my attention that my roommate was texting my ex's friends. This didn't bother me, because it really doesn't have anything to do with me. Had I not seen the texts, I never would have known. Within the last week or so it has come to my attention that they are looking for a relationship together. This in itself doesn't bother me, as they are both adults and I have no place in this decision. The part that bothers me is the fact she would be coming to our house regularly to hang out with him and spend the night. My roommate knows I spent a year being mentally taken advantage of and cheated on, and another 6 months to finally get over it and become mentally healthy again. I was depressed for so long thinking about her. Still, I decided to see how things would go. She came by the other day, and it was as awkward and hostile as I could expect. She was asking demeaning questions and saying rude comments like, "I see your room is still a shithole," and, "It's really taking you this long to find a new girlfriend? When are you going to get over me?" and, "I'm sure your roommate will be much better." Of course these are things I can ignore, however I don't think I should have to put up with that. I could barely handle the hour she was here, let alone the foreseeable future. My roommate never spoke up against her, despite her rude comments. He knows what she did to me and what she's now doing, but for lack of a better term, he's pussy-whipped in my opinion. I had a talk with him yesterday and told him he can either move out and have a relationship with my ex, or he can stay here and promise to never bring her into the house. I told him that since I am the sole homeowner, he needs to respect my rules, and while I hate to limit his stay here, I do not trust her in my home, and I won't put up with her mind games. He told me it's just because I'm jealous, and now there's a rift that I can't say we have ever had before. I made it clear he's more than allowed to have a relationship with her, she is simply not allowed in my home. Am I the asshole? Update. Talked to my roommate when he got off, this time with level heads. I brought up all the great points you guys made as far as why I feel the way I do. He apologized for the gaslighting, and understands why I don't want her in the house, despite his defense of her after she left. He asked if we could compromise and allow her only in his room, and not common areas. I told him absolutely not, as this is unenforceable. I was willing to allow her over before she made it clear she's only here to raise hell, but now it's clear I cannot allow her here. I also told him it's likely she's just using him, as many of you brought up. At first he said he feels like I'm controlling him, but I again made clear he's more than welcome to see her at any time, just not in my home. I told him I absolutely will not kick him out at this point, but if he brings her over without my permission I will have no choice. I chose not to pursue action to kick him out, because I don't feel making him homeless is warranted at this point. My ex lives in a college dorm and he's a cook at Sonic. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night knowing he doesn't have a place to sleep at night, especially with winter coming, regardless of his actions against me. General consensus was that he would come back with his tail between his legs should he decide to stay with her, and there's no reason in my book to add insult to injury, especially when, up to this point, he has been a wonderful friend for years now. In addition, it's possible he's already been manipulated to act the way he did. It took me a year to break free of that, so I don't expect him to be impervious either, regardless of him witnessing me go through that. After a bit more back and forth, he agreed on his own terms that he will not be seeing her anymore, which took me by surprise, but I am both relieved and proud of him. I'll be keeping an eye on things in the near future, but reminding him of the abuse I endured and he would likely have to endure seems to have paid off. I'll update if anything happens, but I have good faith that things actually have ended in the best way possible. Thank you all for your support. Not the asshole. This dude knows the hell she put you through and still wants to date her. I need to know nothing else about his character to know you'll be better off if he moves out. Not the asshole, but your roommate choosing to date someone who totally effed you over definitely makes him the asshole if he expects you to just put up with it. It's easier for him to blame it on your jealousy instead of admitting that he's dating a giant red flag of a woman. Definitely not the asshole. I think you made some good boundaries, and if he loves her so much, he can spend time with her at her place. Title. Yes, of course yo. Story. Holy shit, never mind. No, dude, you're absolutely not the asshole. This is a vicious, abusive person and you're well within your rights to ban her from your one safe space. Not the asshole your roommate is a snake for hooking up with your ex, who is an even bigger snake, and you are an idiot if you allow him to stay and have her come over and disrespect you in your own home. Tell him to move in with her or they can find a snake den to live in together. Not the asshole. It's your house, you can set boundaries about who is allowed to enter. I think it is perfectly reasonable to not allow her to come over. Honestly though, I'd think about whether you want to continue the friendship with your roommate. What sort of person wants to date their friend's horrible ex-girlfriend anyway? Not the asshole. Your roommate is horrible, I think he's a lost cause. No true friend would do this move. I think you should really kick him out. Also he's ignorant for thinking she's actually into him. Clearly she's just messing with you. NTA I don't understand why he would want to date someone like this. He told me it's just because I'm jealous, and now there's a rift that I can't say we have ever had before. It sounds like a match made in hell. Cut him loose and don't accept him back after she does to him what she did to you. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for not inviting my roommate to a party at our apartment? Too long did not read. Last weekend, I held a small, 7 people, we're all double vaccinated, party at my house and I didn't invite my roommate. He is now upset with me. Last year my former roommate moved out to move in with her boyfriend and I made a post on my class's Discord channel that I was looking for a new roommate. One of my classmates messaged me saying he was also looking for a roommate and that he was interested. When he moved in we were initially fairly social, we would talk about various topics and stuff. After a few months though, he started annoying me with random questions. What are you cooking? What are you reading? What TV show is this? Eventually, I started giving him short answers and stopped actively socializing with him. I wouldn't ignore him nor did I ever act overly rude to him. When the work from home orders came up, we started staying indoors a lot more which made things a bit more tense between us. I don't think he understands boundaries as he would frequently enter my room to ask questions or start talking to me about his day when I was reading. At this point I wouldn't consider him a friend, just roommates. When things in my city started opening up, me and my friends started talking about having a get-together. My old roommate used to host a lot of parties at our place due to its central location and because our apartment is very big. A few weeks ago, my roommate sends me a Discord message that he is planning to see his parents and that he would be away for about a week. I tell my friends that I could host the party at my place on the days that he is gone. I didn't bring up that wouldn't be here. We have the party and that was it. Edit. Party is the wrong word. It was 6 of my close friends plus me having wine and watching Netflix. It wasn't a major social thing but instead a small group hangout. This weekend my roommate gets back home and shortly after he sends me a Discord message saying he is hurt I didn't invite him to the party. He found out as one of my friends had posted a photo of the party on her Instagram account and he follows her. And #X200B. I didn't message him immediately back as 1. I was busy with stuff and 2. I didn't feel I had to explain myself. After a few hours I went out into the kitchen and he leaves his room and tells me that I've been very hurtful the past year and I've been making him feel unwanted. He said that by not inviting him, which according to him should have been common courtesy, that I was actively trying to get rid of him. He seemed super upset and then he rushed back to his room. I didn't think it was a big deal to not invite him. The party was for my closest friends and I don't consider him close. I initially thought he was concerned people would mess with his stuff but he doesn't have any furniture in the living room with everything being mine. He locked his door before he left to his parents so people entering his room wouldn't be a concern. And we don't share a bathroom. His room has an en-suite bathroom while mine is the public one. I don't get why he is upset. And #X200B. Edit. I didn't plan the party because he wasn't going to be there. Me and my friends had already planned to hang out prior and we were still deciding who should host. I chose to host it as I knew he wouldn't be there and it wouldn't disturb him. I have had gathering prior and he has opted to stay in his room even when I asked if he wants to join us. He has also had parties of his own this year and he hasn't told me about it, thus the reasoning behind not oking the gathering with him. I should have also pointed out that I had told him I was busy or didn't want to talk. This has been an ongoing issue for me. Around the 7-month mark was when I started ignoring his questions. This strikes me as really weird. Roommate tried to be friendly and social and instead of setting boundaries and communicating openly, you resorted to passive-aggressive tactics. Lame and immature. You went behind his back to host a party in the house he shared with you while COVID remains ongoing, and when he confronted you about it you ignored him. This seems pretty clear-cut asshole behavior. You are the asshole unless I'm completely missing something. You are the asshole. Your biggest gripe with your roommate is that he tries to talk to you about your day? That's just normal friendly behavior and you're grown enough to use your words and say you can't talk at that moment if you're busy. Instead of doing that you passive-aggressively wait until he leaves to have your party, which is super obvious by the way. Like he clearly realizes you waited till he was gone. Yeah, that would make anyone feel unwanted. You are the asshole. Sorry, but you are the asshole. He is trying to get to know you, become a friend, and you are ghosting him in the HOMW you share. You need to set boundaries and keep to them. If he is doing something that annoys you, you need to be an adult and tell him. How can he change if he does not know what he is doing wrong? First of all, it sounds like the guy has been trying to be friendly and learn about what you're interested in. You've been an asshole throughout your roommateship. As for not inviting him to the party, is your friend group also his friend group? If not, in this case you're not the asshole because you didn't want him there. But it does suck to feel left out and unwanted, so I do feel bad for him. You are the asshole throughout the whole situation. When you live with someone, you should at least make an effort to get to know that person. Instead you gave him the cold shoulder and made him feel unwelcome in the place he lives. Info. Your roommate was obviously making an effort to be social with you. His annoying questions, regarding what TV show you were watching, etc. are perfectly normal small talk conversations. Since you were uncomfortable with or annoyed by his efforts, did you ever tell him that he was being annoying, that you never wanted him to come talk to you while you were in your room, etc.? It kind of seems like there are some cultural differences between you two, that maybe needed a conversation to sort out. Very close, not the asshole for not inviting him. It would be rude to not invite him if he was home. Since he was not, there is no obligation for you to do so, but you should have asked his permission as it's a shared space, and your previous behavior towards him does seem a-hole-ish, so while this last drop in a bucket was not a-hole move, you still might be in the wrong overall. If he is bad at seeing boundaries, talk to him, set some. Talk it out. Not the asshole. Don't listen to what these people are saying. You do not owe him your time. I'm going to assume you're a woman with the fact your party was wine and movies. A guy creeping on you, opening your bedroom door is reason enough to get rid of him. He doesn't have the right to your social life. You're said he's had parties without telling you before, yet when you do the same and the added benefit of him not being there, then it's wrong. That's double standards. Am I the asshole for not wanting to donate to my former roommate's missionary fund? In college, I had two very devout Catholic roommates. I wouldn't consider myself overly religious, but we all got along pretty well, and while there were occasionally spirited discussions about religion and Catholicism in our apartment, nobody tried to shove anything down anyone's throat, and we all stayed friends throughout college. One of my roommates, James, became a fairly close friend. We sometimes spent the occasional Saturday night having those good old deep discussions about the meaning of life and stuff, and it was nice. I ended up telling him things about me that I've never told anyone. And then after graduation, he basically cut off all contact with me. My texts would get, at maximum, one reply or none at all. He was always too busy to talk on the phone and catch up. It really made me sad because I thought I had found a good friend for once. That was about a year and a half ago. Since then, I've gotten a fancy consulting job in a large city, and he's a missionary for his church. Yesterday, out of the blue, I got a text from James, asking if First wanted to catch up on the phone sometime. I was taken aback and surprised he reached out to me, but figured, hey, why not? Maybe he'll apologize for basically ghosting me for over a year. When we talked, we spent about 35 minutes chatting about our lives and catching up. He had gotten engaged, and married. Toward the end of the call he says, "So man, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you was because I wanted to ask if you would consider supporting my work as a missionary. Maybe we could also stay in touch too." I didn't want to make the call awkward, so I just told him I'd think about it. On the inside, I was fuming. Not because I didn't support his work as a missionary. I honestly admired him for it in college when he was considering it. Being a missionary is a damn hard job. But fucking hell. He ghosted me for 1.5 years, gets married, doesn't tell me, pretends to want to catch up with me, then proceeds to ask me for money. I'm honestly considering writing him a text saying how long it's been since I've heard from him, and where he gets the fucking gall to ask me for money after basically cutting me out of his life. Am I the asshole for thinking this way? Or is there some unspoken rule about being nice when former college friends ask you to donate to a cause they support? Edit. Appreciate everyone taking the time to comment. I figured I was in the right here, but navigating interpersonal conflicts has never been a strong point of mine. I've decided to just block him and move on with my life. People like James are the reason why first have such huge trust issues when it comes to making friends. Back to square one. Edit 2. Alrighty, this became my most popular post lol, so I'll address the proverbial elephant in the Reddit post. I have no familiarity with the missionary industry other than what my roommate told me at the time when he was considering it. You have to raise your own money, live off a very small salary, and travel to college campuses and do Bible studies all day. Sounds like a pretty sucky job to me. I don't feel knowledgeable enough to give a more educated opinion on missionaries in general, but any situation in which people have a religion imposed on them rather than choosing for themselves what to believe is obviously horrible. Not the asshole. He sounds like one of those friends you lose touch with who suddenly becomes an ML and contacts you to rekindle your relationship. But the pyramid scheme in this case is the church. He's a user. Just say no. Not the asshole. I mean, he's automatically one because missionaries suck, but to have the nerve to hit you up, pretend you're still friends for half an hour, and then ask for money? Not the asshole. Being a missionary, he should know the golden rule well. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Tell him that you are seriously considering it and to give it about 1.5 years and you'll get back to him. Not the asshole. Being a missionary is really harder on those they prey on and destroy their way of life, degrade their beliefs, culture, rituals and languages. You'd be an AITA to financially support that regardless of him ghosting you. Not the asshole. That's not even subtle. Also, missionary work is terrible. Do not fund that shit even if you're on good terms. Give me money, and maybe keep in touch. Wow. Not the asshole. Honestly, you're kind of an asshole for thinking of missionary activities as something good and praiseworthy. It's a disgusting practice. Being religious is fine and dandy, I am, but missions are just vile. Good for you to block him, so in this situation, not the asshole. Not the asshole. That takes some nerve. I'm not the greatest at keeping in touch with everyone, so I would empathize with him, but I keep in touch with close friends. And I don't ask for money if I reconnect. Am I the asshole for telling my son's grandma she has no rights to my kids? Update. Josh just video called me. With his head covered in teal hair dye and a big smile on his face. His dad was standing behind him looking proud. Apparently Josh went to his grandmother this morning telling her that her preference in his hair color does not override mine and Dad's rights as well as his rights to body autonomy. He explained the process he planned on using to ensure hair dye does not get all over the bathroom, what he was going to use while the hair dye set so hair dye didn't get on the walls or couch, and the cleaning process to get hair dye out of the sink in the event there was any mess. Dad said she was thrown off that our 13-year-old was explaining the process as if he was a licensed cosmetologist and cave. She knew that it was too easy for him to just dye his hair while she was out running errands cause he already bought the dye with his own money. Also, for those saying I shouldn't use my kids' real names, I didn't. My kids have very unique names, so I went with very generic names for that reason. I have 3 kids. 13M, 9F, 3M. My 13M, Josh, and 9F, Katie, are with my ex-husband and grandma and during the school year live with him mainly due to better schools. School year starts Tuesday, so they went back to Dad today to make sure everything is in order. Grandma and I don't get along, at all. Dad and I have a great relationship. Josh called me an hour ago really angry and told me, "Mom, this is really messed up. Grandma just told me I'm not allowed to dye my hair teal in her house cause she likes my hair. You and Dad told me yes, and I told her that. She said she's overriding your decisions and her word is more powerful than yours cause she's grandma. So I told him to let me talk to her. He handed her the phone and I went, so, Josh just told me you won't let him dye his hair despite me and Dad giving the okay." She confirmed what Josh said. I told her, last time I checked, Josh came out of my vagina and Dad's balls. We are the only 2 with legal rights to him. You have no right to tell him what he can and cannot do to his body. Same goes for Katie. They are mine and Dad's children. Not yours. Learn your place. Dad called me a little while later, laughing. He said while it was a long time coming and funny ASF, he's dealing with the backlash of his mom and stepdad badmouthing me saying I'm a massive aw. Am I the asshole for snapping after nearly 14 of verbal abuse from this woman as well as her always undermining my parenting? Edit to add info part 1. Ex-Mill has never liked me over the 15 years I have known my ex-husband for the simple fact I'm too white. I'm Spanish and Italian. He's Puerto Rican. Info part 2. Ex just moved into his mom's place 6 months ago to help her because she closed her business due to her age and health. Info part 3. Ex and I have always encouraged our kids to express themselves however they are most comfortable. Doesn't matter if it's within gender norms. Significant other long as no one is being harmed. Info part 4. Ex and I also have always been very open about letting the kids choose their own religion as well as teaching them about the LGBTQ+ community. I am very openly bi. Ex-Mill flips every time someone asks a person that they're not sure if their gender, what are your preferred pronouns? Not the asshole in any way. Your ex-Mill sounds awful. That's awesome that you and your ex have such an amicable relationship though. Your kids are lucky. Not the asshole at all. She sounds terrible. They're legally your kids, she doesn't get to make the rules. Not the asshole. Sounds like 13.9 years overdue. Not the asshole, grandma can stick it where the sun doesn't shine. Not the asshole, you just told it like it is. It's her grandchild but it's yours and dad's child. Sounds like she's trying to go on a power trip. Not the asshole, but it must be hard for her if her grandkids live in her house during the school year and is basically told she can provide shelter, food etc. but absolutely cannot put in any boundaries no matter how big or small. Why does your ex live with her? Are there times when she's the only adult in the house with the kids? Hair dyeing isn't in her control. I agree with that. But is your ex expecting her to at times look after them? My eldest used to dye her hair all sorts of pretty colors, usually at night so that I would be surprised the next morning. I'd tell her how cute she looked. She would say, "But Mom, I'm trying to rebel here." My reply was, "Baby, I've been dyeing my hair since I was 16, it's not a rebellion, it's a fashion statement." Not the asshole. She has no rights to them, their parents gave them permission, and she needs to keep her trap shut about it. I, too, deal with a pushy overbearing grandmother and 1000% I'm on your side.